I can hear you, Von Dutch.
Good. Yeah. Hey, are you driving a Jeep?
I am parked in a Jeep.
Parked in a Jeep, I know.
I am. It's a little Wrangler. I bought this right before a pandemic started. Whoops.
You do any off-roading with it? Are you still down in Florida?
Yeah, I'm down in Florida. Like, I love the Jeeps, and I had like my first super nice new car was a Wrangler, and I was in 15. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna fucking trick it out. I'm gonna take it everywhere. But it was like nice. I'm like, I don't want to ruin this. Then I'm like, I'm not even doing anything cool with the fucking Jeep. So I trade it in. I get a truck. Then I fucking hit everything. And then I'm like, I want a Jeep again. But this time I'm actually gonna off road in it. And I don't at all. So
dude,
no.
you got to, man. Take it to the beach and shit like that. Oh man, if I can just like let, dude.
Yeah, I regret. I wanted like, I should like a 2005 kind of fucking beat up a little bit, but like big tired, like something not new. So I'm driving the new ones. Like I don't know, whatever.
Well, listen, we'll get into it in just a little bit. Chase, can you hear us over there? Can you hear us, buddy?
Yeah, I hear you just fine, man. Can you hear me pretty good?
I can hear you just great. Greg, are you all good, baby? You can hear everybody too?
Yep, I'm good.
I see Nick A is on here. I think he's just gonna kind of hang out and in the background.
Yeah.
All right, bet. So we'll get started. I think we'll go. Well, how do you want to be addressed? By the way,
I mean EC3 is fine. Yeah.
EC3 is fine. I guess what we'll do is
EC is cool. Yeah.
I want to listen. I'm not gonna mark out on anything, but I'm a big fan. But I want to get a lot into the Control Your Narrative, which is fucking so cool, dude. Really cool shit what you guys are doing. So we can kind of talk about that.
I'm an open book.
Yeah, we'll kind of go from there.
All right, whatever you need.
All right, bet. Greg, ready?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just trying to set these levels.
All right, guys. Welcome to the podcast. We are not in studio today because we have a guest in a house that we've been trying to get on for a long time. Freaking any of that, guys. Thanks so much for coming out to our shows at the Stand over at Stand Up New York. Sold out show over at the Stand, which was so cool. And then we have another show coming March 30th, live at the Stand. And there, and of course, my friend, my co-host Chase DeRusso will be there. What's up, Chase?
What's up, man? How you guys doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. I'm pretty excited for this. And of course, next to Chase is the quarterback of this. He is Daddy. Thank you for buying some of my drinks the other night. Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen. The very great, the very funny Greg Alperin. What's up, buddy?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, today's awesome. I'm really super psyched to get into this because I'm very curious as to this new wrestling promotion. I went to AEW last week out here in Connecticut, and it was pretty cool. So super jazzed to have EC3 on. This is pretty wild.
It is very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our guest for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, for a 30-minute time limit, please welcome the very great, the very athletic, the very sexy EC3, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Let me just
what's
say
up,
right up,
baby?
Hey, yeah, great intro. Nice to talk to you guys. Like, I have this theory that two of the hardest things to do in entertainment are, one, in wrestling, it's being a white meat babyface, they call it, like a guy that you're supposed to be liked but no one knows who you are, so everyone immediately hates you, and you're like thrown to the wolves, and you're like, come on, cheer for me, and people are like, why? I don't know you. And then the hardest thing though, stand-up comedy. So you live or die on your own out there, one microphone, one light. You know, it's scary to think of the nerves that go into stand-up comedy, and like you sink or you swim. So I respect the hell out of that.
No, I respect what you do, bro. Like you have to like exercise and shit. Like that's crazy to me.
That's one thing.
Like on a regular basis, like you watch what you eat and stuff like that. Like that's like the mind control, but also you're selling a character. Like that's insane, man. Like I love that, bro. You know what I mean? Plus, you have like marks you have to hit. You know, not only do you do the lines, but there's so much more physicality and stuff. Like I have just the most amount of love and respect for what you do, bro. Like that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
Well, a mutual admiration for each other's abilities, and I appreciate that. I guess that's one thing. If I was a stand-up comedian on the road, I wouldn't have to pack chicken and rice and wake up and go to the gym, and I can just kind of, hang out
I
at the
mean,
lounge.
some of your other cohorts, I step into it a little bit. Dolph Ziggler is in the stand-up
Yeah.
realm.
His brother.
His brother, obviously Mick Foley doing it as well. Rob Van Dam did it for a little bit. I will say this: there is a gimmick and there's a character to it. So the crowds that they get, they're not the same as regular audiences. They're truly wrestling fans over there. And if Greg and I are not comedians, we just kind of suck all the money off of you guys. Really, that's really what our job is to do. Kind of, we're very Dixie Carter, Vince McMahon-ish over here.
It's all that comedy money being just falling out of people's pockets.
Throw it out of the sky. God, yeah. But no, it's funny. It's like I've watched some of these guys do comedy, and even like Jake the Snake. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's very good. I mean, that's just me. I'm gonna shoot on it right now. I don't like Dolph did his Comedy Central, and I thought it was piss poor. I've seen Mick Foley do his stand-up, and all he does is just try to get pops, and sometimes it breaks down away. The same reason when a YouTube star tries to come into our realm, like you need somebody like a Chase that's been there for years that's going to kind of like do well. And one of the great things is EC is that what you're doing right now is fucking so good, and it's amazing. I happened to watch it last night, and ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with it, Control Your Narrative, which has you have another event coming up in Orlando, is that correct?
Yeah, the Orlando 3-5. We actually just sold out general admission, so I'm not going to have to work. Yeah, VIP is still available, but I don't have to work the glory. The wrong end of a glory hole to pay off the boys afterwards. So that's cool.
It's John's language.
Hey, you're speaking my language there.
And then the question is there even a wrong end? But we can get to that later.
As long as you're at the other end, EC3, there's no wrong end.
3-5 is going to be the first time we're bringing kind of this concept into an audience, like a live audience, a wrestling audience. So it's very interesting. It's going to be a little more traditional than the project we've presented prior. But after we do this live event, we're going back in the lab. We're going to create a third feature based on Control Your Narrative. That's going to kind of move us into the next phase, which is our affirmated television deal, which is not announced yet, but that's what kind of got all the buzz, is that I announced a TV deal's imminent. So I got, because I knew it's hard when you do something new. And like you mentioned with Dolph and Foley doing stand-up comedy, like going into a different realm and trying something new. Wrestling fans are very particular about what they already know. And I think a lot of fans of any genre are very particular about what they already know. So trying to break the mold, pop the bubble a little bit, getting that buzz is difficult. So I had to resort to some propaganda, but it's based in truth.
Sure.
So.
There is a lot, and I happened to watch it. There's this kind of feel that it is a documentary. It's like Dark Side of the Ring meets because there's no commentators, there's no referees, and it's shot really like cinematically as well. And I love that that there's twists and turns off the top. Like you have that jobber that wins its first match. And then I'm sorry to break it away, but like I love the idea that it's all about that strength and it's all about kind of that realism. But I love how you're combining it. But as a regular wrestling fan, it can be daunting to watch something like that. What makes it? Why undertake such a creative turn to what regular wrestling fans are used to?
I mean, personally, it came down to being in the WWE, the pandemic hits, they fire us all, and this is like another time where, we're gears and machine to a corporation. And, even being there, and we can talk about, and people do, oh, it's so miserable, there's no this, there's no that, whatever. You have a great paycheck and a great opportunity to entertain, but you do it on somebody else's terms, whether it's Vince or the writers underneath them or the 83 cooks in that kitchen. But like, nobody gets to create for themselves. And we were in a pandemic. I had 90 days to kind of figure out what I wanted to do as far as a character. So I thought I'd just try to create it all myself, as opposed to rely on the next corporate wrestling entity I would be at, whether it's an AEW, Ring of Honor, or an Impact. I wanted to create something unique and see it all the way through. But upon doing that, it kind of it freed me in a way that I want to give that opportunity to other people. So that's what started doing an original feature. And then that's what attracted Adam Scher to us, Braun. Is like, he was so engaged by the feature we created that he was like, man, someday I want to do this. And it's like, you're a top guy in the WWE and you want to do this? That's inspiring. But the next day we talk about it, he gets released. So the first thing we do is like, well, let's do it. And so that's what made the second take place. And now all of a sudden it's like having a good demo and a good album. We put it out there, you know.
Yeah,
Let's
and
see
all
what
the now
happens. Let's see what
all the
happens.
record labels want you now, and you're on way to do a TV deal. This is fucking awesome, dude.
Now, when you say a feature, what did you do? What did you do? I just want to make sure everybody's caught up on.
Okay. I would consider it a feature because I don't like using the term. We made a movie about wrestling because wrestling and movies, like it didn't make sense to me, but it was very cinematically shot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with the shooting wrestling cinematically, nobody was really doing that. But there was this thing called a cinematic match that was becoming popular. But it was kind of goofy bullshit. Like all of a sudden wrestlers have magic powers and shit like that. Where I always wanted I wanted wrestling shot cinematically, but I wanted to make sure the wrestling was as realistic as possible. And then the people performing it, I want to know their stories, because you look at, I've met some of the most interesting people in the world of professional wrestling throughout my life. But when the red light turns on, like, they go away and they become what they think they're supposed to be or what somebody else wants out of them. And I'm like, this dynamic, engaging person who's like so fun to go to the bar with afterwards and has all these interesting stories is like run of the mill, paint by numbers, pro wrestler when the red light's on. I just want to provide freedom for people to explore themselves and try to be who they really are within it. So features are movies, I guess we could say. And then another thing about the TV thing, it's not going to be how TV is done for professional wrestling. 1 hour, 2 hour live audience, commentators, ring announcers, backstage segments. The TV show, it's going to be like a series, sort of a Netflix kind of binge, 8 to 10 episodes, where the end payoff would be a live show where all the stories culminate, and then we do it again.
That's pretty cool. Why do you think that some guys, have that personality out, when the red light's off, and then when it goes on, it's not the same, or it's a dumbed down version or a weaker version of what they truly are?
Fear for their jobs, that getting by is more important than being who you are. Wow. And I get that too, because the liaison from your creative idea to the person that's making the final decisions, there's a lot of people to go through to get there, and it's never what you want it to be. So there is some compromise, but it seemed lately in wrestling that the compromise is completely gone, and we're at the whims of just one person in control of it all.
Right.
And you don't have that relationship where they know who you truly are.
Sure.
Or they make a judge, your boss is going to make a judgment on you, sees you one thing. I think he's this. Like for me, if you knew my career prior to my second run in the WWE, spoiled rich kid, cool as hell, great character, looks awesome, so ripped, so handsome. Vince saw me do one promo on like tape once, and he's like, I think he's a weatherman. Like, and what? But once that's ingrained in him, it's hard to break. And sure. I probably didn't do a good enough job to convince him that.
But it's funny, EC3, there's that classic moment where you're shown in a backstage segment and you're just holding that red Solo cup. And is that how much reality? I mean, I can see all like Wrestle Talk and all those guys saying like, this is him saying no to everything. Is there truth to that? Or were you just, Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's saying no to it, but it was a minor act of rebellion in a sense that who I know and what I'm capable of doing in my head, even if I'm a character or the real person. A character who's claiming to be this brash, rich, arrogant stud is chasing around a dumb title and these dumb things. Like, he would have a drinking problem, wouldn't he? Like, there should be some consequences to how far he's fallen in his life and his career. So it's not, nobody said, hey, grab a red cup and act like you're just mad at the world. I just know that shit's live, and if I get a second of live TV, I can do what I want. I'm gonna have a red cup and be miserable. And then, you know what? Nobody knows what segments that happened in, but people can still talk about, oh yeah, he had the red cup. And you know, that's another thing. It's my insane psycho boy attitude, is that I can make a cup popular. Imagine what I can do with free reign over myself.
Sure.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, man.
I mean, essentially, go ahead, Chuck.
No, I was going to say, like, I mean, so are you in the new promotion? Are you, taking, because you've been in a bunch of different, wrestling promotions through the years, and the big ones. Are you taking some of all the good and bringing that to what you're doing, or are you just going full on your own thing and taking this the different direction?
Yeah, and it's definitely a work in progress, because now I'm wearing a lot of hats as opposed to just a talent with a bunch of creative ideas.
Sure.
That's fairly decent, because now I'm, I don't know, helping produce the matches and the vision. I'm writing. My buddy JC has been directing, but we create these things together. So I'm a talent liaison, making sure people are where they need to be. And what do you want to do? And who are you? And if a talent's going to come to us, I like to psychoanalyze them a little bit, because maybe they don't know who they are until they have this long form discussion. And we see, ask them questions like a Matt Taven, for instance. I'm like, why do you love the color purple? And he mentioned why he loved it. And then we incorporate that in the story of his match and Free the Narrative too. It's just the love of the color purple, why he has it, and it's like what it meant to him. And I thought that was just an interesting way to look at things. So taking the good, creative freedom in wrestling is, if you give everybody 100% freedom, everybody wants to be the champion, everybody wants to win, everybody wants to, be the best, and that's just not possible.
Sure.
But having the ability to create within the realm you're presented how you want to be and get where you're going was a good thing I've taken from places. And I just try to organize it and make sure I have the right talent. I know I do, that each person knows what we're all doing together, and that's creating something, as opposed to egos and paychecks. There's no money, I assure you that.
Yeah.
Egos and paychecks and things of that nature. Like, this is their creative release, because at the end of the day, there's no amount of money, if you're a creative person, that's enough if you're not fulfilled in what you're doing.
Oh, 100%.
Wow. Yeah, man. I love that.
So
I love that.
So of the roster that you guys have right now, like, how did you bring them all together?
It seemed like, because when we started the first feature, I love Matt Cardona. I've known him a long time. We're like-minded, but we're also very different. And I thought with the character I was presenting and where he was going and who he was kind of the yin to the yang. He was the ultimate opposite of me, bizarro me, in a sense, where we're very similar but very different. So I reached out to him about it, and he's into the project, and now he's doing fantastic. But
he's the top heel right now. I mean, the way that you, and like the way that you took it from the feature, and then kind of did that back and forth storyline, that yin to that yang, and then now seeing him and what he's doing, like, it's incredible. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you're almost like a starting point. You're recreating characters that were supposed to be known as X, Y, and Z, and now you're bringing them into this whole new space. And sorry if I'm answering the question for you, man.
Oh. Well, I think Matt's having this amazing success. It has nothing to do with us, what we did. But in a story context, and I think when Control Your Narrative and Free the Narrative is seen as the new TV deal launches and people are looking back at it, because it was very under the radar, people will see, oh, this guy went from here. He went through this process with this psychopath, and then he became that. And that's like a cool Easter egg. By no means am I taking credit for what he's doing. That's all him, and he's doing fantastic. But I think that's a cool story thing. And that's another thing with the narrative. providing that platform for people to reinvent themselves, how they want to be seen. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but getting the talent, a lot of people just reached out saying, hey, I like what you're doing. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty impressed with what's going on. I'm like, do you want to do it? Like, really? Yeah. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And there's another, like a John Schuyler in Impact. When we used him in the first one, I've known him. He's a great wrestler, but he was kind of on the indies forever. Tears his ACL, blows out his knee on an indie show. Like, that's something he's got to pay for. That puts him out of work for no money. There's no guarantee. He has no contract that's paying him while he's injured. So that's a rehab process coming out of pocket, and you can't work. Like, that sucks. But then using that story within the narrative, afterwards he's signed to Impact, he's killing it. Like, not taking responsibility for that success, but that's just another story of the freedom for him to create, maybe opened his own eyes to himself and put him in the right position to do that.
And you wrote him as the latter in the original feature. I mean, he succumbed to his own issues on his knee, and he lost. And it's crazy that you're taking these big ideas and these big characters and you're hyping them up, only to see them fucking fall flat on their face again. Almost, it seems like.
Well, too, what I've noticed, and I don't know if this is happenstance or what, is the loser within the match usually has the better story. And by kind of placing it in a world like this is it's a Fight Club knockoff. Let's not be fucking crazy. Like, it's obviously super inspired by that. The wins and the losses don't matter as much as the process of finding yourself through a fight and who you become afterwards. Kind of the message, if you will.
Right. So, John, by the way, when you were talking about stand-up, wrestlers who went into stand-up, you might have forgot the biggest of them all that sort of does fly under the radar, which is Piper.
Piper did it for a little bit,
and he was doing it at the Comedy Store, and worked with Steve Simone to develop an act. So he really went for it and had some good success, in a short-lived amount of time. But he might be the biggest that actually tried it.
I haven't seen, but in my experience, I have not seen anybody that has been able to succeed to cross over into our world. Even writers. We had the big story, obviously. This is actually probably while you were still with the company. Was Kenny Mobley was a writer for the WWE, and she had said on a podcast that she didn't even know who the champion was, and she has. I mean, it was such a slap in the face to the industry and like the people that are paying you, but at the same time, I'm like, Kenise, you don't have to be so cool. I know that you're a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? So I haven't seen anybody kind of make that jump over, and whatever way it was, and really do well. But yeah. Humor doesn't seem to act. I mean, go ahead, EC.
Yeah, I don't even know what I was gonna say. I'm gonna word vomit here, but humor in wrestling isn't funny. When they try to be funny, it's not funny.
Right.
And but when it's entertaining, it's funny. And there's a shtick, this fucking line in wrestling said by people in offices. It's like, funny don't make money. And I'm like, I don't know. I fucking see Jerry Seinfeld's life. He's doing okay, But I think there's this.
Did nobody prep him that we don't talk about Jerry on the podcast? Fuck.
Oh, shit.
I'm kidding. Jerry and I do not get along.
Well, oh shit, sorry. No, but there's this stigmata with comedy, but also the comedy written by a 75-year-old man isn't funny to people that are, comedians are very self-deprecating, and we're kind of, I don't know why I said we, but I am. We're all kind of deranged and miserable people too. And that's like comedy could be our crutch, which is another story I want to visit in the narrative, is people that in wrestling portray this comedic side. They're truly the most damaged of us all. There's fucking real life jokers out there. But comedy, funny don't make money. Yes, it does. But the thing about comedy is when you try to be funny, it's not funny. But when you're entertaining in a humorous scenario, some of the best comedy out there.
Sure.
Absolutely, man. Some of the man, I've seen Mick Foley a few times, man. That dude, to me, that dude is so funny. One of the best storytellers, man. I think that dude, I think he's got it, man. And just you know, I don't know, like I love his book, you know, but you know, the Rock and Sock Connection, that shit was really funny. You know what I mean? I think there's something more that's happening when some people go up. Sometimes people just want to experience and share a room with that person, and that happens throughout all sorts of comedy, man. There's people that are like, you know, internet people that are getting booked at places, selling out, people that people just want to connect with a person, you know what I mean? So I mean, I totally get it, and I totally get that maybe they haven't made the jump over to like mainstream comedy stuff or whatever, but some of that doesn't matter. People want to see people live, you know, they want to see people live. And they just want to hear a story. Like, I love watching a fucking dude telling a story that might not be the best storyteller, but you know, it's coming from his heart, man. Like, to me, that connects to me. That's stuff that I kind of remember more than, you know, I see a lot of comedy. So, you know, comedy kind of go in one ear, go out the other for me. But if I hear somebody,
I guess it's when in the setting, you know what I mean? Like the setting, I think, has something to do with it. Like, for example, I don't find the poop humor that Vince finds funny. Do you know what I mean? I think that's terrible. But I get something like a New Day. Yeah, exactly. But you know, like with stuff that the New Day's doing that, you know, is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I feel that's fun. Is there a chance that your promotion is going to touch on anything humorous? I mean, you're doing a live show.
I have to be, because I know with the first narrative feature, I'm like, man, it's kind of fucking depressing. But with the second one, you know, we added in like 2.0 came in and kind of provided the old man Muppet perspective from sitting in the balcony and kind of like telling the stories. And comedy is necessary in an entertaining way. And probably the funniest dude I know, his name's Bill Carr. We call him William within the narrative. He's a big fat drunk that's like trying to die all the time. Like, I don't need to write jokes, or I don't need him to like, I just need to put the camera on and say something to him, and then he'll just start going, and it's fucking magic. And I don't know how that's a guy like that hasn't been missed on so many times. So yeah, there'll be comedy in a sense that like it's funny and engaging, and it's not he tripped on a banana peel walking into the narrative.
Yeah. I mean, Janela does that stuff where he gets people that are shaped like dicks to come out, and like I find that shit humorous. And am I laughing? But am I watching? You know, like what I love about the cinematography that you guys are doing in the first feature was what was on the mat that was kind of popping a little bit, that white powder.
I think we used way too much, but in the first one, it was what my boy JC, co-creator, calls grit, because he was watching Bronson, and Tom Hardy was doing, you know, the nude fighting. So if you love dicks, you know, his like uncircumcised flapping around while he's fighting in this movie Bronson, but they're in this jail cell. There was like shit all over the ground, and like every time someone landed, it kind of popped up. So I would have done a little bit less, but I liked it. And that was kind of distracting too, because that's the first time we're lighting, we're shooting. Like, we don't know shit. We're making it up. Like, we have a couple ideas, watched a couple of YouTube videos, but it was so self-made that, you know, there's a giant spotlight in your face half the time. And I'm like, this sucks. We suck. But, you know, you have to try and you have to learn. And I think this is big with comedy too, where you're talking about people that are famous online, talk bullshit, person's doing a stand-up comedy show, having a decent sized house because of their following. They've never failed at it. You have to fail, especially at something like wrestling or comedy, to understand how to excel at it or learn from those mistakes and be good. And once you have kind of a reputation, like even a Dolph or a Foley, they already have a built-in fan base. So people are going to check them out. They never failed at stand-up comedy because they've never done it. They're just trying it. And without failure, you don't, you know, proceed.
So now that you have, obviously your own promotion and you're in charge of all the creative and all of that stuff, are you watching the other promotions now, the Impact and AEW and WWE to see what they're doing and how they're doing it? So, to help you create your own storylines that are, unique. And what do you think? Actually, my other question is, do you think that there's too much like story being developed within the show? Like I went to AEW last week and there was parts of the show in the 2-hour TV tape portion where there's a guy in ring for 10 minutes just babbling about something, and I thought that kind of got old. What do you take inspiration from any of that?
I've stopped using wrestling as inspiration because part of creating this thing and being different, I feel like it will ruin my ability to create, and it's not good. I don't like it. I'm one of the biggest wrestling fans in the world. I'm having a tough time watching any of it. I just don't know if because I've been doing it so long and I'm desensitized, or the business has there's been so much bad, even though I've had a great career and I'm creating a great thing, that I'm still bitter about it. But watching it I'm not watching it for inspiration. I'll watch it if somebody says, check this out, it was pretty good. But the thing with the AEW 10-minute segment, you're filling there's a lot of filler time when these guys have 2 hours this day, 3 hours this day, 1 hour this day. There's so much to fill that sometimes you just got to throw something out there, and not everything could have the depth and context you would if they were what I wanted to do, which is an 8 to 10 episode season.
Right.
So only the stuff that matters we can use within an hour frame.
Sure.
That's why I want it to be different too, because if you like that, if you like the typical promotion, ring announcers, commentators, fans in the building, big lights, everybody's doing that. Championships, even everybody's already doing that. Maybe there's a niche for something different that speaks to people, because talent and wrestlers, no matter what, this is what I really think lacks within wrestling, is the emotion behind the performers and the talent feeling the emotion. I think that's been far gone because everybody is kind of in a hive mind doing the same things, because A, they're either afraid to step out and be different, or B, they're afraid to step out because they'll get fired, or C, it's very easy to become complacent, especially when you have a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
Bro, I feel the same way. I think artists just probably go through that, man. That's why my heart's out to John. You got to watch more comedy than anybody, man. You know what I mean? I at a certain point, yeah, exactly. At a certain point, it's how much time do I have in a day to consume, and then how much time do I have to put out? And I think you're at a point right now where obviously you're putting out badass shit, and the only way you're able to do that is to focus more on the put out than the consume stuff. Obviously if one of your friends is yo, you got to check this out, maybe you'll check it out or whatever. Yeah. But at a certain point it becomes toxic to consume too much, right? You would agree?
I would 100% agree. It becomes toxic to consume so much. And at the same time, I noticed that with fans too, because the fans that are truly watch so much, who's beeping? There's a toxicity in just how they talk about it. And I don't know if it's just everybody has a voice on social media now, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody's going to share with you. It is toxic when it's too much. If I don't like something, I don't go out of my way to talk about it nonstop to people I don't know. Agreed. I say, it's not for me, whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing with wrestling too, yeah. I was going to say, a thing with wrestling too is that, oh shit, now I lost my train of thought because I cut you off.
No worries.
I'm getting it. I got it back. When we do something new within wrestling, it's immediately going to be scorned or disliked or ignored because it's different. So it just takes the right people to be well, no, actually check it out. It's hard for somebody to watch something they don't get. And I'm sure there's people checking our stuff out that are killing me online. watch 40 seconds of one thing. Like, it sucks. You're a loser. I hope you fail. Like, well, what'd you watch? I watched 30 seconds of that. It's easier to dislike something instead of think about it differently. And that's just fucking culture, man. And it sucks.
100%. And that's the internet, bro. I've always said this, man. I think the internet is just the fucking bathroom wall at a gas station. You know what I mean? Do you want to read all that shit? You know what I mean? It's just the
They're real fast. There's this like sect of fans coming at us for whatever. They're all like in a group. It's very interesting. But I announced, hey, we sold out our general admission, but I have VIP packages still available. And I just said, I'm adding a rant room to the VIP package where you, the person that likes to yell and cuss at me online, come to the show and I'll give you 3 minutes of consequence-free yelling at whoever you want to yell. You can just go in a room and yell. You want to yell at Adam Scher? Call him a piece of shit? Come on in. Like, cowards won't do that. And granted, yeah, I'm trying to take $100 from him too, so I get points. But I would do it for free. I would do it for free. In fact, I probably will offer the free rant room and see how many of these people, instead of writing on the bathroom wall, would say it to me, knowing I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit there and take it. I can take the arrows. I can take the slings. I don't care, because at the end of the day, no person who's ever done anything has spent their day yelling at somebody else about something online that they're doing.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think that's very clever. I mean, I the funny thing is, like, as a wrestling fan in our fandom, there are those that like go after that. They're diehard WWE fans or diehard AEW fans. But as somebody that works in entertainment, it is interesting to watch your promotion, because it is so different. I love that break from the monotony of, if we really look at it, wrestling kind of came about. That whole idea was from the boxing element. It was, you got the announcers there. It's conceived as a real sport. This idea of, kind of taking it back, and like, I love this idea that you were kind of like pushing, that was like the only one that can help you is yourself. And you kept on kind of saying that throughout there. It doesn't matter about religion. And it was just like, it was almost this battle cry. And yes, it harkened back to the Fight Club stuff. But at the end of the day, it was like this idea that, yeah, you're controlling your narrative. This is your storylines. This is what you want to do. And and I know you're not going to take credit for it, but I mean, you've got two great people, one in Impact and one in NWA right now, that is absolutely smashing it and killing it right now. And I know you're not going to pat yourself on the back about it, EC3, but it almost seems like this is like a new launching pad of you, because everybody's like, oh, you recreate yourself in the indies. But maybe this is the platform that people recreate themselves in and then go on.
I'm totally gonna slap myself in the back, because that was kind of the idea and the concept I had. Like, especially before we became something that might actually be, in a sense, a promotion with a television deal. The idea was to create these ourselves, and you become who you want to be. This is your reinvention tool that you could take anywhere. And obviously, I have a lot of talent that I love and are super talented coming in and working with us. But the same day, maybe, somebody calls them and says, hey, we're going to give you this much to, come from my corporation. I'm going to say, good for you. Congratulations. Take what you did here, and I hope it sees TV, because that's just makes our shit look cooler too. If a fan discovers, oh my God, he took that from there. Look at that. Now it's on TV. So, but I will also be on TV. So maybe I can offer contracts someday. But yeah, that's the idea.
So when does the announcement actually come out on what TV it'll be on?
Probably this week. There was some sort of online rumor that it was this crazy right-wing conspiracy network that was launching us, and it was interesting to say the least. But yeah, I think it's this week. I just don't want to jump on the thing, but I do tell you this, because I haven't promoted it once, and we need the hands on deck for this one. Is 331 Dallas, Control Your Narrative, Awakening, Dallas, Texas, WrestleMania weekend, Gillies, Southside Music Hall, whatever, 8 o'clock before the show. The network is having a live press conference announcing who they are, why they're there, and how they're going to change how wrestling is consumed for us.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited for that. I love the idea that you're going to be taking it also to Dallas, right right before, the big weekend as they call it. I'm excited. Do you get a chance to like catch up with some old friends when you're down there?
Dude, I don't have friends. I think after, I don't know, I'm such a hands-on worrywart, neurotic psycho that until
Sound like a comic.
until that show is completed and everybody is made right, I probably won't be able to relax. And then here's the problem too with probably people like us is you accomplish something that's cool or something great. It's hard to even have a moment going, all right, I'm trying to make myself better at this. Have the moment and be happy it was done, because you're immediately thinking, what's next? There's no way to live, man.
Yeah.
Constant, what's next? I mean, it is, but it's also, you have to remember it's about the moments. Like if you're creating emotion and moments for fans, you should take some moments for yourself and be proud of what you were able to do with a great team of people.
Absolutely, bro. Hey, let me ask you a question real quick, just as like a comic wanting a tip from you, EC3. Like, if you're on the road, like, should I just go to the grocery store before I go on the road and get like some chicken breast and some broccoli or something? Like, what do you recommend if I want to, take some steps or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm so glad you asked, because now I could actually. One thing I'm bad at is marketing and selling all the shit I do. But check this out. If you go to join.freeec3.com, the number 3, I have a nutrition and training app that tells you what to eat, how to work out, when to eat it. Like, we make it all for you. You give me a rundown of all your, injuries and diseases and whatever. And I'm like, I'm not a doctor, but here's what I think. Send it to you. But it also has this restaurant locator. So most mainstream restaurants are available on my app, where you could therefore, I need to get 40 grams of protein and 60 grams of clean carbs. Oh, here's a Quiznos. I don't know why I said Quiznos. They suck. But you can find something through the menu option that would fit what you require. For myself, yeah, actually, like if you're going to be on the road for a couple days, if you land and hit a grocery store, you're just going to be better prepared. Preparation's the key. And like sometimes I check a bag, this dumbass giant cooler, where I have plastic baggies of all the meals I made back at home. That I freeze them, and then when I travel with them, it's insane. I do not have a girlfriend. I don't wonder why.
It's the cooler of food.
Yeah.
Bro, that website needs to be on every like comedian like group. Like, that sounds amazing. Like, because I'm a restaurant guy, so that's what's amazing is that you have these like life hacks for these restaurants. Like, hey, look, if you have to go to an Applebee's, here's what you got to get. You know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, thank you for that.
For sure. Hit me up, and I want you to try it and like give me some feedback, and then you sell it to the comedians. Will be good. But if you use the promo code AWAKE, you get the first month free. So if you hate it, then you don't have to worry about it. So that's cool too.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you. I'm just trying to lose like 3 pounds of face fat. So I'm thinking 1 month I could do that, and I'll probably be a lifelong subscriber, man. I love that, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
I bet you, yeah. If you change up just a little bit, and you took like 2 or 3 more walks throughout the week, like 20 minutes. So yeah, you'll drop that quick.
Cool, man.
So speaking of food, we usually end on a food note. So John, you want to
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. EC3 eats fucking clean, it seems like. But I want to ask, what is your cheat meal?
Great question.
What do you go?
Wonderful. I live for it. I live for the cheat meal, and I have it once maybe one kind of clean one every week, and then every other week or so after that, like I just bonanza, absolute chaos. So if it's a normal week, like this week, I'll probably do 6 to 7 sushi rolls after leg day.
Okay.
So that'll be cool. And then I'm starving afterwards. So then I kind of dip into my Halo top. I keep in the freezer just for a little bit of taste. But if I'm going off, like, and I do, and when I go off, I go into a food coma. I take all my shit. I get all my shit. I take it to go. I bring it to my place. Turn off the lights. Light a candle. Seance. And like burger, fries. You know, I eat steak, so it's not like steak's not a cheap, but like, and then whatever the fuck, like there's this donut shop, and they have about 4 to 6 of those, or like the new cookie place. And I can do okay if I stay away from dairy, but ice cream's awesome too. But yeah, like I'm not afraid to have a full blown fucking shit fest, boys.
Oh, what do you drink with that burger? Do you like bubbles? Do you do like a carbonated water? Do you do like what, Coke? Like what do you drink? What do you drink with that burger?
I rarely drink pop or soda, whichever you gentlemen would call it, but I will have a Diet Dr. Pepper with it.
Right on. That's your move. Got it. Understandable.
That's solid. That is solid.
How much water do you drink a day?
Probably a gallon and a half to 2.
Right.
So just constantly pissing.
Yeah.
So,
No.
old man prostate issues coming. Like I'm constantly peeing. I've had to pee the whole time.
Do you, when you for working out, do you take any supplements? Or like any
supplements? Yeah. Like.
Wait, did you guys ask him if he does juiced?
No, I know. I'm curious. No.
I've never taken anything that was doctor prescribed. I assure you.
Okay.
Like, supplementation. Here's an interesting thing because it's such a market, and we're gonna be launching supplements, and I work with plenty of companies.
Are you revitalizing Echo Pro? Holy shit! You heard it here first.
Buy 6 jugs of mass gainer, and you get a free stringer tank top. Supplementation's actually very easy and basic. So like creatine works, and I take a ton of glutamine. But the biggest improvement I made with supplementation that I never realized, that's kind of what made me look from like really good to fucking awesome, was when I figured out how to take digestive supplementation to the next level.
Right.
And that shit's as easy as betamine, HCl, fucking glutamine, apple cider vinegar, and maybe a good digestive enzyme. And I take that about 3 or 4 times a day. Shit, great, always lean. It assimilates all the other things.
Right.
I mean, all the pre-workouts are pretty similar. Good tasting protein. I mean, I make a lot of meals with the extra protein in it. So I like ISO Pure. Excuse me. No, I don't. I like Astroflave ISO Mix. They're good. Yes, they pay me to. But yeah, like plenty of supplements. But also, if you're not taking supplements, I don't think you have anything to worry about because they're like a kickstart. They're not going to make or break you. Sometimes having the routine of taking a supplement makes you, it's a placebo effect too, that I'm going to work out or I'm being healthy.
Absolutely. Do you feel like men's multivitamins do shit? Should I be taking men's I ran out and I was like, should I re-up this? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think if you get any of these multivitamins from, like, if you're any normal store or like mainstream multivitamin, I think they're very diluted with just everything. So I would almost suggest solo taking a few of the select vitamins, like vitamin C, vitamin D3, a good fish oil. Sometimes I'm saying people don't take fish oil. CQ10 is good. Those are all health-based. Something for your liver would be great, especially with the amount you probably drink because you're comedians, right?
Yeah.
John.
I'm just saying. That, like, based off this, I promise I won't call my Coke dealer for at least a week. I mean, I want to be healthy.
Wait, there's no calories in that, bro.
I fucking love it. EC3 is such a cool 1%er. I fucking love it. That's the promo that I always wanted to see, is EC3 just doing lines of blow up of fucking girls' tits and just being like, I am the 1%, and just dousing himself with champagne.
No calories in this. Well, there's calories in champagne. So.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Well, on that note,
I'm my own boss, so I could keep making jokes, but at the same time, everything I'm saying is weighed and measured. So,
Well, at the end of the day, EC3, I know your birthday's coming up. Happy birthday! Congratulations on the of general admission. Right live in Orlando, guys. Fucking go to the website. EC3, where can we go to go check out everything about March 5th and March 31st?
Okay, well, controlyournarrative.co, not .com, .co, because I couldn't afford the M because I'm still self-financed. Seriously, it's like an $8,000 difference.
We can do a GoFundMe. I'm gonna sponsor the M. I'm gonna sponsor the M.
That's funny. That's hilarious. If you do that, I will share. That's amazing. And I'm already getting killed online by people that hate me for no reason. So it's okay. It'll be funny. It works as a gimmick. Free EC3.com is my personal website, which is basically unupdated. Join.freeec3.com. That's the app. If you can check it out, give it a shot, give me feedback. It's cool. Hitting me up on Instagram is probably the best way because I avoid Twitter like the plague. And then Facebook, I'm sick of seeing my mom post it all the time. So at the real EC3 on all those, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think we just launched a Control Your Narrative TikTok. I won't get on of it because I don't trust the propaganda, but Control Your Narrative on TikTok. I put 2 nerds on it and they're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. Control Your Narrative on Instagram, but at the real EC3, controlyournarrative.co. 331 Dallas, Texas. If you're coming down for WrestleMania weekend, come check us out. I can promise one thing is that everybody will be talking about the show afterwards. Am I going to promise you the best show? No. I mean, it probably will be. Am I going to promise you the best match of the night? No. But I'm going to promise you that everyone's going to be talking about it because everyone's talking about us now. And controversy creates cash. And how do you
there's a little Bischoff line in there, baby.
EC3, you have given some of the best advice that I've ever heard. And if you don't know how to do anything, just put fucking 2 nerds on it. It's fine. Like, that's the best advice I've ever heard. Put 2 nerds on it. I don't know how to do that. I can put 2 nerds on it. It's gonna be fine.
I don't know what a trending song is. Like, I don't know. Like, and I met like these people too. What's cool about what we're doing is everybody within the narrative, like, kind of like we met via happenstance. And there's so many stories from like people, not even the wrestlers, but like my kid Eric Knoll, who's like doing production, just graduating UCF, like the story of his life and how he wound up a wrestling fan. All of a sudden, we're in the same barbershop. Next thing you know, he's sitting there editing like me and Matt Cardona. He's like, "What the hell just happened?" And now he's like getting full-time work, and that's so fucking cool. And now, yeah, and also doing my TikTok. Or I do an interview last week with some wrestling fans, and this guy's like, "I have 500,000 followers on TikTok," and I go, "Want a job?" Like, "No, but I'll help you out." And I'm like, "Even better." So, yeah, a lot of cool shit.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Greg, any last words, sir?
No, I mean, there's just a lot to unpack in this 52 minutes. I got some good supplement tips though, so I'm super psyched that we got those.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. EC3, thank you so much. Chase, thank you so much. And of course, the very funny Greg, thank you.
Thanks,
we love
guys.
you.
Good luck.
Can I go to Dallas? Can you bring me to Dallas, please? I want to go to see Dallas.
Yeah, man. If you get yourself to Dallas, I'll put you on a set before the show. How about that?
Then everybody will really be talking about, because hey, did you hear about that hate crime and Asian crime? Everybody just hate him, beat the fuck out of him. He's like, oh yeah, it happened at EC3 and Adams thing. It was crazy. Guys, we'll see you next time on the podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks everybody. Man. Thanks, EC3.
Thank you. That was great. I love doing shit that's not wrestling only. So that's why that was good.